Welcome to Millennial Milkshake, the podcast where three weird newscasters revisit, re-experience, and review things from our childhood. My name is Colin O'Connell, and I was born in 1994.
My name's Josh Sicali, and I was born in 1995.
And my name's Michelle Potter. I was born in 1997.
And today, we are reviewing what would we call it? An improv comedy show? Short form improv, not long form. Whose line is it anyway? Michelle, I know that you suggested this. So maybe just delve into what you know about it, what your little, I don't know, what your personal experience with it is, I guess.
Okay.
That's how this show works, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Whose line is it anyway? Was a big part of my childhood. I remember watching it quite often, and I thought it was the funniest show I had ever seen. Every episode was the funniest show I had ever seen. Yeah, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was insane that they could just make that up on the spot. I still think it's kind of insane. I mean, improv is hard. I bow down to all of the improv comedians out there. Yeah, and it was really fun and exciting to revisit it.
So I have a question. About the show. I definitely have seen this, but I didn't remember it. I mean, it clicked when I rewatched it, but not enough to really recall much. But so this is an improv show. Is it all definitely improv? Like, there's no setup for any of the bits?
I think the only thing is they know what game is coming like ahead of time. Like in between commercial breaks, like they know if there's a hoedown coming up or whatever. But otherwise, no, it's all improv.
Because I have some questions about some specific bits. I don't know if we want to wait till later to for me to ask those questions. But there's just a couple specific ones I had.
Oh, is there a controversy brewing?
No.
Josh is calling out Drew Carey himself.
There was one moment. I don't know why it was this moment. I'm just gonna say it. So when they were doing the film dub in the first one we watched, which was episode 15 of season 1. Now, I'm assuming they probably haven't seen this film. I forget if they even said what film it was, but they're doing it so perfectly and everything's timed so perfectly. If you haven't seen a movie, how do you know when someone's going to slam their fist on the table to react at the perfect time? Unless you saw the movie and you know that scene so well. That one, I don't know. I was like, there's just, I don't know how they did everything so perfectly timed. So that's why I had the question. But
I mean, what I'm hearing is Josh wants to meet Ryan Stiles and call him out. Is what it sounds like to me.
I mean, that's not even their impressive part of the show. It's the film dub. That's probably the least impressive thing. It's all the freestyling is crazy in this show. So that's what really has me.
Especially everything that Wayne Brady has to do. Oh my God, you want to talk about an entertainer? Jesus.
Yeah, and given the characters, it's not just freestyle. It's characters they have to do on top of that. It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We should specify we are reviewing the Drew Carey run of the show, because it was a UK show beforehand. Adapted to American television with Drew Carey as the host, and then it got brought back a few years ago with Aisha Taylor as the host, which I haven't seen any of that, really. But like Michelle, I grew up on Whose Line. We watched it all the time. If my memory serves, the 3 shows we watched the most, unfortunately, one of them we can't watch anymore. The 3 shows we watched the most, real family shows or whatever, growing up was Whose Line, Everybody Loves Raymond, and The Cosby Show. We watched, and my parents watched Seinfeld and stuff too, and I would be around when we watched Seinfeld. But those were the 3, everyone kind of come around the television. We'll watch new episodes of Raymond, and we'll watch Nick at Night, reruns of The Cosby Show, and we'll watch Whose Line on ABC Family. So there's a strong connection.
It's crazy. I didn't watch those 3 you named. I really didn't watch any of those growing up.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that insane? Even The Cosby Show, I never really watched. And Everybody Loves Raymond I've seen on. It bored me out of my mind. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I mean, every episode of Everybody Loves Raymond is the same thing. It's Raymond does something dumb. Deborah gets mad at him. His mom defends him. Deborah gets mad at Raymond again for siding with his mom. Rinse and repeat. Peter Boyle comes in and says something funny.
I mean, honestly, when I was younger, I honestly thought Seinfeld was the most boring show. Also, like that was up there for me. Bored me out of my mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is upsetting to say because now it's like one of my favorite shows. But like when I was like 6, 7, I did not understand it. It was so boring to me.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'm thinking more like, like 10, 11, 12,
Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't really care for it then, even when I was 10.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff went over my head. Like the whole contest episode, like when people, when like my parents were like, "Oh, this is like the best episode ever." I was like, "I don't get it." But I don't know. We watched a lot. Because when you're a kid, like Kramer is your favorite character because he's the wacky one,
Yeah.
But as an adult now, it's like, oh, I love George because he's a piece of garbage like everyone else in the world. But we're not here to talk about Seinfeld. We're here to talk about Whose Line Is It Anyway? Josh is calling it a hoax. It's fine. Michelle, do you have any history about you want to share with us?
I have a little bit of history, but I mean, they do know, like, they rotate the same games, so like there's got to be some sort of like repetition of sorts. Like they know what's coming, but they don't know what's coming. Like they do it so often.
Yeah, that and like they've been working together for a long time. Like I know Ryan and Colin have been working together forever. Like they were on the first iteration of the show, and I think that they were doing improv with each other before that. So when it's like Colin and Ryan, they just have like an insane chemistry and back and forth. Like it feels like they can almost read each other's minds sometimes,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have like a little, just brief history, just touching on what Colin said. It was like the American version that we're reviewing was adapted from the British show of the same name, which ran for 10 years, I think, from 1988 to 1999, which is 11 years. 11 years.
Do you know who was on that? There was another very famous comedian who was on like the British version. I don't know if you guys know him.
Ryan and Colin were both on it.
Yeah, but do you know who Stephen Fry is? I feel like you'd know him if you saw him.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was on the original version. In fact, I don't know why. I feel like they ran the British version over here for a while because that's how my parents knew it originally. Because there was they did the game, the superhero game, and we would have like a running joke in my family about No Bones Boy because that was like one of the prompts, and I can't remember who it was, but like I think it might have been Colin, but they're like, it's No Bones Boy, and Colin just like collapses onto the ground. It's great.
Yeah, so adapted from a British show. The premise of the show, it was originally created by Dan Patterson and Mark Levison in 1988 as a radio show on BBC Radio 4 in the UK. And the radio show lasted 6 episodes. And then after that, it was adapted into the television series.
And 6 episodes in England is like 7 years of content. Like the way that they do their programming over there.
Much different.
I know. They make like 2 episodes of Sherlock every 15 years. And it's like, how...
That's true.
How has Benedict Cumberbatch been like alive this long? That's why there's 1,000 different Doctor Who's. They make an episode of, every half decade and they have to keep replacing them. That's
a great point, even though I haven't seen that show yet.
I haven't seen that show either. All I know is that they replace them all the time.
There's also an Australian version, which ran for only 1 year. Guess it wasn't a hit there. But Wayne Brady won an Emmy in 2003 for the show. for Best Solo Performance in a Variety Show. And
good job, Wayne.
Yeah, go Wayne Brady. I think he was nominated 2 other times. And one year, Wayne and Ryan were nominated for the same category at the same time. I don't think either of them won that year. The show was never really nominated. It was nominated for Outstanding Technical Direction one year, but that's about it.
Technical direction?
Technical Direction was the category they were nominated for.
What? I'm sorry, but it's just 4 people.
That was I was confused as to why. Because there's got to be 3 cameras at the most?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why would they get nominated for that? That's insane.
Maybe they were low on contenders that year.
Maybe.
Their only competition was Everybody Loves Raymond, and they were like, well, nobody likes this show.
Oh, also, fun little fact. Greg Proops is how you say it? Proops. Greg Proops was like a frequent on the show. He was in the UK show too, right?
Maybe?
I believe that he was.
Okay. I believe you.
He was also, if you remember the hit show True Jackson VP, he was a main character. Not a main character, but he played Max Madigan. If you're a fan of True Jackson VP, which...
Don't know what that is. Never saw it.
Oh.
Yeah. I know that Greg Proops is the half of the announcer guy in The Phantom Menace during the pod racing sequence.
In Star Wars?
Yeah. He's like, young Skywalker.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he's got a great resume.
Sure. If we want to call that a great resume. True Jackson VP and a voice role in Star Wars. I mean, fuck. I'd love to be a voice role in Star Wars. I don't know who I'd even contact for that now. Kathleen Kennedy, call me. Let me know if you have anything open for a mid-20s man with a higher than you'd think voice. Call me up.
Call me maybe.
Yeah, call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
What an era.
What an era of television. So moving on to our next segment. Josh, favorite segment is
Apple Facts.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's favorite.
And Michelle is reading them this week.
I look forward to the last Apple Fact.
Michelle just looked at the Apple Facts.
Oh my god.
That's what I like to hear.
Josh, just so you're not left out, I'll share the Apple Facts with you as well.
Great.
Just so we can see what... Listen, I asked you both ahead of time who wanted which one, who wanted the Whose Line Apple Facts. And Michelle jumped on these. So, Josh, when you are ready to look at what Michelle has to do this week.
Give me 1 second. Let's wait for this to come in.
Okay. Yep.
Michelle, did you read all of them, or did you just glance at it? Is that all you need?
I think she read the whole thing. All of it.
Michelle, you can't read the whole thing. It has to be as you go. It has to be a surprise. I'm not seeing any. Oh.
Scroll down.
You're terrible.
So, for those, obviously no one else can see. Michelle, what do the Apple Facts, what does it say?
Oh, that's great. That's my favorite Apple Fact.
You want me to say what it says?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just so everybody could feel what's going on, you know?
Yeah, guys, so this is what Colin sends me. He sends me a blank Google document that says, Whose Line Apple Facts? At the very bottom of the page, Michelle, improvise the Apple Facts. What?
Well, it's an improv show, so...
Yeah, I'm really glad I don't have this one.
Oh, Josh, you got so lucky.
Oh, man.
Michelle, I will accept one improvised Apple Fact, and then we can move on.
I liked how I was waiting for it to load. I was like, it's not coming through.
You're like, Michelle, did you... You can't read them all at once. Is this your worst nightmare?
That's good. That is fresh.
It might be up there. All right, guys. That's fresh. You're... What the fuck?
This is interesting because normally I know the Apple fact ahead of time, but now I'm in the same boat as Josh. I don't know what's gonna happen. She's looking around the room, looking for inspiration.
Man, I need some popcorn for this.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't need to improv anything. I got a brain full of knowledge, ready to let you know what I know.
Let's hear it.
Whose Line Is It Anyway? The American version first aired on ABC, and ABC Family on August 5th, 1998, and it ran through December 15th, 2007, as we know, hosted by Drew Carey. There was actually a big competition on ABC Family from 2003 through 2007 between Drew Carey and Tom Kenny for America's Home Videos. And they switched Whose Line Is It Anyway to the 7 o'clock slot and moved ABC Family to the 8 o'clock slot, which hurt Tom Kenny so bad he had to take up a part-time waitressing job at Disney World.
Where at Disney World?
At the Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, I was hoping that the Monster Cafe.
Ooh, no, that was too upscale for him.
Did he do any funny voices when he waited?
Did he ever wait on them as SpongeBob or Patchy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guys, I'm so dumb. Did I say Tom Kenny?
Yeah.
You said Tom Kenny.
Guys, I totally meant Tom Bergeron? The guy who hosts America's Money's Home Videos.
I was super lost, so...
So are you looking at me? Like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I thought you... Wait.
Tom...
No, I'm confused.
The Tom that hosts America's Funniest Home Videos.
Gotcha.
So not SpongeBob.
Not SpongeBob.
So SpongeBob didn't have to get a waitressing job at the Rainforest Cafe.
SpongeBob was doing okay at the time. Yeah.
Oh man, that was some Apple fact, Michelle.
Yeah, good job.
So that's why I don't improv.
Well, that was fine. We got the nice little mix up with the Tom Kenny, the Tom Bergeron. I thought legitimately the Tom Kenny, I thought that was like part of the Apple fact, like, you know, like you were improving that, you know, like you were making a joke about how it's Tom Kenny at the Rainforest Cafe. I didn't know you just got the name wrong.
Yeah, so did I.
When I said America's Funniest Home Videos, you weren't confused?
Well, I
thought it was a bit.
Yeah,
It was a bit. Let's go with that. It was a bit. Just delete the explanation part. Thanks.
Oh man.
Good job.
That really sucked for you, Michelle. That's
My heart rate is so elevated right now.
I guess we're not doing that new segment because that was too mean to do to Michelle.
Guys, my heart is beating so fast right now.
So those are the Apple facts. Normally the podcast episodes are longer, but because the Apple facts got cut short, I think we're going right into our reactions.
I think you both should improv your own Apple facts.
No, that was a special thing for Michelle.
Michelle, I write every Apple fact. Do you know how much effort goes into it?
He's right. He's got a point.
I mean, I sit down,
and you have time. You have time. You know what I don't have? Time.
I scramble. You know what happens? I scramble about 10 minutes before we start recording to get the facts down and send them to you guys.
So really, it's not too far from what you just went through, Michelle.
Mm-hmm. Except we're not recording and all of the pressure is off while I do it.
Yeah, that was a live improv.
I think we should take this as a learning experience and just compare it to what we watched on Whose Line, the masterful improv we watched on Whose Line, because it is a hard skill.
The thing is, though, like, they get set up. They've got scenarios, okay? They've got a scene. You gave me a blank
I gave
sheet
you a
of
setup.
paper.
Apple fact. Setup.
What? No setup.
Do an Apple fact. That's the setup. Would it be better if I pulled it from a hat?
Yes.
Here's something we can talk about. Here's something, before we get into our review, here's something that we can talk about, because I've been thinking about it a lot. Now, Drew Carey was the host of Whose Line. And when he was reviewing, he also had his other show at the time, the Drew Carey Show. It was peak Carey. You had Drew on TV, you had Jim in the movies, peak Carey. But Drew Carey during this time was a larger man, let's just say, right? We can see that during the recording. Now, though, he lost a lot of weight, and Drew Carey was 170 pounds, which means that when I watch Drew Carey on Whose Line, I realize that I weigh 30 pounds more than that man does right now. And it is the most upsetting thing. It gets me so mad.
How often do you think about this, Colin?
Every time I watch Whose Line, which is actually pretty often. I've been watching it a lot recently, even before we picked it as a topic, because it's just really, well, I won't get into my thoughts about it yet. We should talk about which episodes we reviewed. Now, I thought, because typically what we have, the rule we've kind of established for the show unofficially is we'll watch the pilot episode for something, and then we'll just kind of pick 2 other episodes at random, right? But with this, it really felt like we should, just because every show's so new and everything, and it's not scripted, I really felt we should get a kind of a different feel for it. So that's why we watched a season 1 episode, a season 3 episode, and a season 7 episode. Did we notice anything different, production-wise? Did it run smoother? Was there any differences we noticed?
I honestly did not notice any differences.
No?
No, except for the different fourth person on. That's all I really noticed.
Oh, really? Because I felt I didn't count the games. I felt like there were a lot more games in the season 1 episode. I thought there were 7 or 8 games. Which I mean, there's a lot. They cram a lot of content. Unlike this show, they cram a lot of content into into a short amount of time.
Yeah. So the first one had you're right, had 8 games. And the season 7 one. What'd that have? That 6, or actually no, is that 5? Yeah, 5. Wow.
Yeah. The season 7 episode was also my least favorite episode of the 3 that we watched.
Yeah, I think I probably.
There were so many Britney Spears jokes and Drew Carey being weird.
Yeah.
And it was just ugh.
Yes. I was.
I have one of those moments written down.
I wrote, yikes.
Yeah, he's I want to sleep with Britney Spears or whatever. And it's ugh, dude.
So weird. So,
Relax.
And he went on with it for
yeah,
way too long.
Because they made a joke about someone in the audience. They do audience participation. And someone in the audience suggested Britney Spears or whatever, and they had picked snoring. And I think Ryan said something oh, same thing, right? Which, whatever. It's kind of a cheap shot, but it's whatever. And then Drew Carey just kept going on and on how about he wanted to fuck Britney Spears. It was weird.
I specifically quoted him on one of his lines from the last episode.
Okay.
Britney, if you're out there with your fine ass, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, he said with your fine ass.
And then Ryan just responds with smooth tongue. So yeah, that was then he went on a few more lines about Britney, I think, but I didn't write those down.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Britney Spears was a very, very attractive, person. But it's just the way that he said it was so sexist and creepy And I don't know. I don't want to make it like a whole thing, but it was just kind of, I don't know, off-putting, you know?
Yeah, it was really off-putting.
I mean, can we agree that Drew Carey's the worst part of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
he's just not very funny.
I mean, all the contenders are very, very skilled in what they do. Drew Carey just kind of there, giving them the topics. So
yeah,
he is just kind of there. That's the perfect way to describe Drew in this show. Is he's just kind of there.
I mean, he participates a little bit, but when he does, it's like there's a clear difference.
Yeah, when he like joins in at the end.
Yeah. So for the first episode, season 1. I mean, I feel like we have 3 episodes and we got a lot to break down with them. So
okay.
Any like favorite segments or favorite moments in the first episode that we watched, which was did we say what episode it was? Season 1 of episode 15?
Yeah, season 1, episode 15. Oh, that's another thing. It's all on HBO Max, right? The episodes, the order of the episodes is a goddamn mess on HBO Max. Like, I don't know what you guys watched it on, but
yeah, I watched it on HBO.
It's all messed up.
It is a mess. Favorite. Well, okay. Before we get into favorite moments, can I just say the colored background of the stage? God, I love that. Like, I love that background. It's just so comforting.
I'm trying to remember what it looked like exactly. I feel like I can't remember the background, to be honest.
It's just like a blue and like, it's just so...
Yeah, it's like a blue and red and...
It's great.
So, favorite that first episode, I think my favorite line is, Greg, they do the props, like the dating video one, and game where they have to put on a different hat, you know, like, and then act like they're in a bad dating video. And Greg comes up with the fencing one, and he says, "I'm ready for your parry if you're ready for my thrust." That was a pretty good line.
I forget who puts on the mask, and it's like a lizard, and he just breathes.
Yeah,
I think it was Colin.
Was that
it
Colin?
Was Colin or Ryan?
Yeah, it was one of those two.
It was one of those two.
The mask sinks so far into his face. I was like, I wonder if he was nose breathing or mouth breathing.
You know, yeah. I just have another quote from that game written down. It's Ryan had like the drill sergeant hat, and he said, "Want to find out why they call me a drill sergeant?" That was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, they did what? They did news anchors, which I think I don't know. I forget who won the episode. I feel like Ryan should have won this episode. I feel like Ryan should win a lot of the episodes.
I think Ryan won that episode.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because they did the news anchors, and he was the weatherman, like a crazed weatherman with a chainsaw.
Yeah, he did fantastic chainsaw sound. Yeah,
he just goes, "Let's cut off Oregon." Oh, that's another thing. Ryan's sound effect, and Wayne too. Their sound effect work is pretty like astounding. I think we'll get into another episode where Wayne has to do a lot of the sound effect work, but yeah, that's another aspect where I could never do that.
I did like Greg's Bond villain a lot in the newscasters. that was nice. I'm pretty sure in the newscasters bit, none of them even won. The 1,000 points went to the bald guy in the crowd, which I felt kind of bad for. He just called out like 2 guys that were balding for being bald.
Yeah. If you watch the show more, they make fun of Colin Mochrie a lot for being bald.
Do they?
Yeah, it's constant.
The best part of this one was probably Song Styles when Wayne had to do Cab Calloway.
Oh yeah.
And he's just doing the dance and the accent. I couldn't make out one of his lines, but I wrote down like the one verse he did. "How you doing there, sister?" And I don't know what he says after that. He says like something, "I'm something dressing mister. Tell me something, can you design pants to fit on my big behind?"
Yeah. He did Snoop Dogg too. His Snoop Dogg was pretty funny.
Yeah, "I'm gonna lube you whether you like it or not." That song. I believe that. Oh yeah, I have all the greatest hits from the album Songs of the Mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered something. So, as much as we watched Whose Line, I don't know why we did this. whenever there was a singing segment in our house, we would change the channel. Like, I don't know why we did that. So now, like, rewatching it, it's almost like I'm watching, Wayne do all this stuff again. But I don't know if we skipped the greatest hits, but yeah, whenever it was like they would like sing to a person, like they would bring a person out in the crowd and sing to them or whatever, I feel like we would change the channel. And I don't know why.
Did they think it was like an inappropriate part, or not?
I don't know. I'll have to do some more research on that. Find out why my parents were all right, I don't want to put my mom on blast too much, but there were certain things we weren't allowed to watch in the house. So like we could watch The Simpsons, but we couldn't watch the itchy and scratchy moments of The Simpsons. Like she would change the channel when those came on just because they were like violent or whatever. And like we couldn't watch like Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. There's a bunch of questions I have why we weren't allowed to watch certain things.
Well, Dragon Ball Z was pretty violent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I can kind of understand that, maybe.
But like Rocko's Modern Life, like I had to like sneak episodes of Rocko's Modern Life in my childhood. Let's see what else. Oh, Film Dub was in this episode. Which Josh took issue with.
Just more so curiosity. I questioned a little bit of the preparation aspect for this episode, or questioned just the preparation aspect in general. I'm just wondering how much they are prepared, because it is improv, but there's got to be some kind of like, I don't know, maybe they're told to watch this film. I don't know, but
maybe, I'm not sure. I'd love to get one of them on to discuss it.
Me too. Maybe I'll work on that. I'll get Ryan on this call.
Speaking of it, Ryan had the best line of that game too. Was when the guy stands up and they cut away to a horse, and Ryan goes, "Oh, nice looking horse. Excuse me." And the guy walks away from the table.
Oh, how about the sportscasters bit? I love seeing like Ryan and Colin just do their like.
Oh yeah, that's not a game I remembered a lot. Like whenever it comes up now that I watch it, it's like, oh, this is kind of like a new game to me.
I mostly just liked when he plunges Colin's face. That
was great.
That was really funny.
And then I think Drew just says, "I don't care who you are, but that's gotta hurt a lot." I was like, "Thanks, Drew."
Yeah, Drew.
And then the clamp nipple twist to Ryan. I remember that part of it.
Oh yeah, that was great too. Yeah, the amount of physical comedy that's on here too is,
Yeah, so that's all I have really written down for like the episode 15. Unless you guys had something else about that one that.
No, just that they ended on a hoedown, and I guess there's some divisive opinions on the hoedown in this group. I enjoy the hoedowns just for what it's worth.
I like the hoedown. I just don't think it's like one of their strongest. I think it's one of like their weakest.
I'm honestly with Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Michelle. I'm not too big on the hoedown.
I don't think we got one in these 3 episodes, but Michelle, do you remember the Irish drinking song?
Yes, I do.
Do you prefer the Irish drinking song to the hoedown?
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah. Way better.
Yeah, it is a good one. So, do we want to move on to the next episode? The season 3 episode?
Yeah.
So this one was my favorite one out of the 3.
This one's the best one, yeah. There are a couple reasons, but there's one big reason why I think this one.
Is it the neon light?
Yes. Ryan smashes the neon light with his head. What's crazy is I remembered this episode from my childhood. Like, I remember that happening.
Really? Like this like.
Yes. Like, well, not the whole episode, but yeah, I remember him breaking the neon light with his head, just smashing it. He just goes into it.
I couldn't believe he wasn't bleeding or like anything.
Yeah. For those who want to watch it, it's episode on HBO Max. It's 308. It's season 3, episode 37. And they do the game Party Quirks, which is, I'll go on record and saying it's my favorite game that they do. I just think it gives them a lot of, whoever's like the host doesn't get a lot to do, but it really gives Colin, Ryan, and Wayne like a lot of freedom to kind of stretch their comedic abilities. Like Wayne was the he would fast forward. He played someone who would fast forward the more he was attracted to him, and he was doing like the fast forward sound effect, and then he walks over to Drew and
like the VCR like sound.
Yeah, and then he walks over to Drew and he starts talking really slow.
Is that the sound effect you were talking about that Wayne had to do?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not, it's almost like, what's his name in Police Academy? The guy that does all the sound effects. Like, it's that level good, you know?
Yeah. So I think my favorite bit in like all these episodes was action replay. I wish they actually did more of those, because as soon as Colin and Ryan reenacted what they thought it was and they did Noah's Ark, I was
yeah.
I don't know. That was so. I wish did they do more of those in like other episodes, the action replay?
I think they do them. Yeah, I don't remember that game super well. The games that I remember really well are the weird newscasters, the scenes from a hat, Party Quirks, Hoedown, Irish Drinking Song, and the sound. Do you remember the sound effects game, Michelle, where they would like bring people from the crowd to do sound effects for Colin and Ryan? Like they would act out a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's always really bad at it.
So bad.
And then Colin and Ryan just make fun of them the whole time. Oh, and like all of the Wayne like singing segments too, or like like greatest hits and stuff. But I didn't remember that game super well, but yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of that one. And Wayne is great as Britney Spears. We had more Britney Spears in this.
Oh yeah, a lot of Britney.
Isn't he singing for the guy that I think he said he reviews video games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like shaking his booty next to him. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, and he does a little like he throws a little shade with like the lip syncing thing at the end, like he was lip syncing the whole time. Oh, first, also we have to shout out to Laura Hall, who does the music in like all of these episodes.
Yeah, bravo.
Laura Hall and Linda Taylor. Those names are burned into my memory because Drew Carey says them so often throughout the run of this show. Laura Hall and Linda Taylor. What is Laura Hall up to? What do we think?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but if we had to guess.
I feel like she's a really successful piano player for some like super well-known musician, but no one knows her.
I think she's taking some time off in a cottage.
Ooh, she deserves that.
Ooh, she plays piano for herself now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah. She plays when she wants to play. She's making so much moolah off of those Who's Line residuals. Like, as soon as the rights got sold to HBO, she got a big fat check. Couldn't even fit the check in the door. That's how big the check was.
They sent her a giant check every week.
She slid it on the piano and she's like, I play for me now, Drew Carey. She called Drew Carey up and said, listen, bitch, you don't tell me what to play anymore. I'll play what I want. But then she starts playing like songs in the style of other musicians because she doesn't know how to play anything else. She's like, I can only play Prince. Oh no, what has my life become?
There was like one more moment I had written down in the show. Just a moment where I just felt dumb for a second. After Ryan smashes his head, and Drew says, how many fingers I have up? And he says 4, and he says, close enough. And then Ryan says, how many fingers I have? And that's when he flips Drew off, but it's censored. And there's like a censored block covering his finger. But for a second, I thought he held up an actual block that said censored.
It was like an obnoxiously large censor block that they put up.
I guess because it was like ABC and ABC Family, they like really had to do it.
Oh man!
The Colin makes a comment before that where Ryan's like, because Ryan smashes head first into this neon like wire frame that's on Drew's desk, and he smashes it, and the light goes out. And after the game's over, Ryan asks Colin, "Was that lit?" And Colin goes, "Oh yeah. It would have been better if your head burst into flames."
Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh, man.
If he died.
Or just like burnt off all his hair.
Do you think they would have aired the episode? This is like the special, don't show your kids this episode. This is the episode where Ryan Stiles died.
Yeah, put the censored block that was on his hand on the episode.
It's so funny that he was like unharmed and there was glass everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Drew's like trying to pick glass out of his head. It's like...
And was it Kathy? She like stops what she's doing. She's like, wait, are you okay? Are you okay? He was like,
yeah,
I'm fine.
He's like, I'm fine. He does the Carol Channing impression, who I don't even know who Carol Channing is. Do we know who she is?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a funny voice. I feel like we are singing Ryan's praises, which, I mean, obviously, he showed some commitment, and Wayne's praises, but, I mean, I feel like we got to give it up for Colin Mochrie. I mean, as a fellow Colin, just, I mean, when we're talking about like best Collins, it's like Colin Farrell and sometimes on certain days Colin Firth. Or no, flip those around. It's always Colin Firth. And sometimes if he's having a good day, it's Colin Farrell. But Colin Mochrie's got to be up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, Colin's great. They're all fantastic.
Except for Drew. I mean, let's just be honest.
Drew, you're right.
Drew's not great.
He's just there.
Yeah.
Like Colin, Wayne, Ryan. Even like most of their guests are usually fantastic.
Oh, that was something I was going to ask. Do we have a favorite fourth chair?
I actually we watched an episode with Jeff Davis. I thought he was great.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him a lot.
That was the third one we watched, right? In season 7?
Yeah.
Probably him. I mean, I'm trying to remember Greg. I just remember him as the Bond villain mainly.
Greg is really snarky.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's his thing. Who we didn't see there were a few of them. But the other two big ones that we didn't see were what is it? Brad Sherwood and Chip something. I don't know. Chip's in The Office. He's the Stamford boss in The Office. There was also an episode. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. There was actually an episode with Robin Williams as the fourth chair, like the Robin Williams.
I know that they had celebrity guests quite often.
Yeah, I would have suggested that one. Like I tried to look it up. That one's not on HBO, but I remember that episode being incredible because he's just so energetic. Richard Simmons was on an episode once.
I do actually vaguely remember that.
Mm-hmm.
David Hasselhoff.
Ooh, was he?
I think he was.
Ooh, the Hoff.
But
yeah, I mean, good episode. Season 3. Good ep. Josh, did you have anything more to say about episode 3?
Oh, no. I'm good there.
All right. I guess we can move on. Episode 7. Our least favorite episode. I don't really remember much from this one, I'll be honest. I just remember the Britney Spears stuff being weird.
Yeah.
So I did have a bit that I did like from this one. And there was a couple moments I did like. Like I didn't hate this episode. But I liked number of words.
Ooh.
Oh.
Where they're all given
yes.
a certain amount of words.
Yeah.
And
that game's a mess.
It is. I love Ryan in it.
Yeah.
He has like he's assigned like to say 5 words, and you just see the struggle every time. He always does like 2 sentences, 2 very short sentences. So he comes in when Wayne comes out as the mummy, and he just says, "Sorry, I'm late. Really late."
Oh yeah, and Colin is the feisty, I don't know, like female character. I don't know what they call him.
Yeah, and he's got 2 words.
Who can only say 2 words, and he just goes, "I'm feisty,"
or he just
over and over again.
He just repeats everybody's sentences with 2 words. And then when Ryan takes out his sword, and he says, "I'll just take out my whoosh," and he just imitates the sound of the sword.
Yeah, that's a game I don't feel like they do a lot either, but that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. They do scenes from a hat in this episode.
Okay. I don't think I remember that too well.
I wrote that they did it, but I don't remember the bits from it. I love scenes from a hat, though. It's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. That's a classic. True with his obnoxious Star Spangled Banner top hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember any scenes though that they did scenes from a hat. Jess, did you have anything?
Yeah. So they do the foreign remakes of American TV shows. I mainly just remember the Fat Albert one.
Yeah. It was like Spanish.
Yeah. And I think Wayne does it, and he says, "Hey, hey, hey, it's Alberto Grande," or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, they also do the bartender game.
Yeah, that was right. That was right after Scenes from a Hat. They did but they did like three parts of Scenes from a Hat. So the next one was ads where the product and the style doesn't match. The one I think I mainly remember is I think Colin did it, and he just has in like the most melancholy voice. Ever dream of owning a Harley Davidson?
Yes. I love that.
I mean, Colin's right. This was a pretty weak episode. I'm like kind of reaching here, but and then the inoffensive words that immature people are prone to snicker at.
Oh yeah.
I just have the bread one with the white and pumpernickel, and then Colin just laughs at the word white.
Yeah. Oh, there was a great bit in the bartender one. Is it Ryan or is it Colin who's colorblind?
Ryan.
It's Ryan, yeah.
Ryan's like he upset because his prompt is he's upset because he's colorblind, and Wayne is tending bar, and Ryan calls him his white friend.
He says, "I can't see colors. I don't know till the end. Can you help me, my white friend?"
Yeah, Ryan's great. I mean,
and then I remember Colin's very upset about his pogo stick getting broke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his pogo stick. Yeah,
I love how Wayne starts that off with, "What's wrong? You look like you lost your pogo stick."
No, I was just gonna bring up. We missed the last episode. Was it the last one when they do the hoedown, or is it the first one when they talk about wrestling? And Colin's talking about how he got like thrown around the ring so much he has brain damage, and you're supposed to end the line on a rhyme. And he goes, "And I lost the ability to rhyme," and he just doesn't try at all to rhyme.
I think that was the season 3 one.
Yeah. Which if you ever see him, they do like a game where they rap sometimes, and Colin's the worst at it because he doesn't know how to like end on a rhyme at all. So if you ever just look up clips of him trying to, like, it's just like 5 minutes of him struggling to think of a rhyme. It's pretty glorious. But that's why I think Colin's the best, because he's kind of the worst one, but he can just like railroad like everyone else in the scene to make it funny.
You guys have any other segments from this episode that you liked? Well, I mean, there's only one more after the bartending, which was the props.
Yeah, they did props.
I loved props as a kid. So silly all the time.
Oh, just silliness.
So is that a common one they do all the time?
Yeah, I think they normally end on it, right? Because I feel like Drew's in those a lot.
I don't know why I thought it was funny. Like I liked those big red things that Ryan had. And I just like I liked his efforts. These are my new shoes. I don't know why I thought that was funny.
Oh, that's a running gag throughout the show is Ryan's shoes. Ryan always wears like ridiculous like bowler shoes, and they always make fun of it. His shoes and his ties, they always make fun of throughout the entire show.
I feel like I noticed his shoes too during one episode. He was wearing like bright blue, like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wears like crazy shoes and crazy ties all the time. Yeah, that and Colin's baldness, they always joke about that. So yeah, do we have anything else to add, or do we kind of want to get into ratings?
I'll get into ratings. I'm tapped out with my input on this.
Okay, so scale me. I'm on a scale of 1 to 94. This is going to be high, and I don't want it to be like the highest thing we review so early, but I mean, I loved watching this. I mean, it really does. Some stuff obviously doesn't hold up because like the weird Britney stuff, and but for the most part, the structure of the show holds up, and they're all very talented, very funny comedians. I'm gonna go 87 out of 95.
Wow.
Or 94, sorry.
Wow, that is...
Yes, very high.
Woo!
Yes.
Well, I mean, Michelle, if you're not ready, I can give my rating.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Colin. Mine's not going to be nearly that high.
Wow.
Although I do thoroughly enjoy this show. But I'm going to have to go with I'm going to say 74 out of 95.
Oh, that's still really high.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, you can't be upset about a 74. That's a solid rating.
No.
Yeah, I don't think this is a disappointing rating, but just watching it, I still think it's fantastic, but some of the jokes were just not as funny as they were when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I was going to go 75.
Very nice. Very nice.
75. All right. Let me everyone's favorite part when I struggle to do math. So that is definitely the highest thing we've rated so far. It has to be an 82.52. So round up to an 83. So that's pretty good, all things considered. I mean, it's got to be the best thing. It's the highest rated thing. Do we feel like out of what we've reviewed so far, do we feel like it is the best thing, though, that we've reviewed so far?
See, I don't know. It's tough. It's so tough to put like a show like this against a movie. They're like on different like scales for me. So I don't know. I mean, I liked Ed, Edd n Eddy more just because I am more familiar with the show and I've seen more episodes of it. So I rated this higher than Ed, Edd n Eddy from what I remember. But that's just because the improv is there's a lot of skill in that in Whose Line. So that's what gave it the 74. If that was a scripted show, it wouldn't be that high.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I rated Ed, Edd n Eddy higher, but I liked this show more, and I've always liked this show more. And I think I rated Ed, Edd n Eddy higher because it was still very funny to me. Whereas Whose Line, it's still very funny, but there was I felt sort of disappointed that I wasn't just losing my mind by how funny it was and how genius I thought it was, as I did when I was a kid. But it's my favorite thing we've reviewed so far. I love Whose Line.
See, that's interesting that you found this, a little disappointing, but you still gave it a good score. If you'll remember when we reviewed Gushers and everything, I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
It's about disappointed.
Not a 7D, not a 17, but a 7.
Nope. A 7. I have no regrets about that. I spit it out. Ugh.
I'll be honest, I had another one and it just, I had another one after that episode, and that Fruit by the Foot was just awful, and I'm blaming it on the red. I bet the multicolored would be better.
I've got a box full of them. I don't know what to do. Do I just throw them out? That's a waste of food, but can this even be qualified as food? So who knows?
I'll give you my address.
Okay. Okay, I'll give him to Josh. I will be watching Whose Line, though. That's something that I will be doing again. So,
as always, if you like what you're listening to, feel free to leave us a good review on Apple Podcasts and look out for new episodes every Tuesday. You can find us wherever podcasts are found. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and so on and so forth. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook at Millennial Milkshake, on Twitter at MilkBasedPod, and on Snapchat at MilkshakePod. You can also follow each of us on our own personal social media accounts. You can follow Colin at The Last Call, that's call spelled COL, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow Josh on Instagram at Joshie_124, that's Joshie with an IE. And you can follow me on Instagram at Michelle Thoughts, that's thoughts spelled the way you think. Yeah. Colin?
Thank you, Michelle and Josh, for joining me to talk about Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Well, I'm gonna give our audience a nice thanks for joining us. Thank you, guys.
Oh, well, I feel left out. So, how are you gonna handle my emotions?
But thank you too for joining me as well.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, the world, as we're taking notice to now.
And what did we settle on? Stay creamy. Remember to stay creamy.
Oh yeah, yep. Stay creamy, stay whipped.
Yeah,
not whipped. Stay creamy.